There comes a time when being kind, hardworking, and honest isn't enough. You could be the most talented person in the room, but if you don't know how to navigate people, if you don't understand the game that's being played around you, you will lose. Not because you're unworthy, but because you were unprepared, because you didn't sharpen the skills that people don't talk about. Some people think dominance means aggression. That's not true. Real dominance is subtle, it's not loud, it's quiet confidence. It's emotional discipline. It's the ability to stay one step ahead without saying a word. It's when others feel your presence without you even needing to prove anything. You move smarter. You respond with precision. You don't get caught up in noise and suddenly they can't outplay you anymore. This video is not for the lazy. It's not for people looking for tricks. This is for those who are ready to build mental discipline, who are ready to learn the real rules that powerful people follow. Because once you start applying these rules, you'll start to notice how fast the world shifts in your favor. Not by chance, but by choice. Chapter 1, control your emotions. Control the game. Emotions can be your greatest strength or your downfall. If anger, fear, stress, or anxiety take over, your clarity disappears. You start reacting instead of acting. You make choices you regret. But when you keep your emotions steady, you gain control. You lead the game. Instead of the game leading you, most people believe emotion is something that just happens to them. A message pops up, a voice speaks harshly, or something goes wrong, and suddenly they feel crushed or agitated. The reaction seems automatic. But emotional control isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about choosing your response. It's about not letting a short moment wipe out your bigger plan. When you learn to pause, just a breath, a moment before reacting, you build space. That space is where strategy lives. You silence the voice that pushes panic or frustration. You ask, what move serves me best now? Not what feels best in that moment. Imagine being in a high-stakes conversation. You feel your pulse rising. Instead of lashing out, you stay calm. Your voice stays even. Your words stay thoughtful. That moment of controlled clarity, it's what wins respect. It's what stops conflict. It's what opens doors others close. When someone pressures you, tries to push you into making decisions, or targets your insecurities, emotion is what they use to gain control. If you panic, they win. If you break, they win. But if you anchor yourself in calm, if you focus on your breathing, on your tone, on your direction, you shut that power down. You regain it. Controlling emotions also means being honest with yourself. Not denying that you feel hurt or fear or anger, but not letting those emotions run the show. You look the feeling in the eye and decide what your next step is. You act from strategy, not reaction. That calmness becomes your advantage. People notice, they pause around you, they respect your steadiness, they pause, adjust, or even follow. When you stay calm, you become a signal of confidence. That helps you anticipate others' moves and stay ahead. This skill isn't soft, it's hard. It comes from practice, from looking underneath the emotion instead of running from it, from breathing through the discomfort and staying focused on your purpose. Comes from saying, no, I won't be hijacked by how I feel right now. Over time, the habit of emotional control rewires your reactions. You stop giving power to triggers that once dominated your mind. That means stress doesn't derail you. Criticism doesn't break you. Setbacks don't stop you. You see them, you feel them, then you move through them. This kind of control transforms how others see you. They sense your calm and lean into it. They follow your lead. They look for your reaction when they don't get one, and they lose their edge. In every room, online or offline, calm becomes dominance. You don't become emotionless. Emotions simply become tools, indicators of pressure points, not fuel for chaos. You stay strategic. You keep thinking 2 steps ahead. You hold your presence no matter how loud the situation is. And in doing this, you don't just outsmart anyone, you outlast them. This ability to stay composed becomes part of your identity. You won't need to talk about how cool you are under fire. People will see it in how you look, how you speak, how you stay steady when everything else shakes. That's not luck, it's practice. If you want total dominance, you must train your emotions like any other part of your strength. You must see feelings, not as obstacles, but as signals. You choose what to act on and what to master. You become someone who doesn't break under pressure. You use this pressure to build strength, and people know it. Smart people feel deeply and steady. They care, but they're not collapsed by the moment. That's what control looks like. That's how you beat noise with discipline. That's how you win without reacting. That's how you stay 3 moves ahead, because your head stays clear even when others lose theirs. When you stay calm, strategic, purposeful, you're not just playing, you're leading, you're the one with the edge. The one prepared, the one who outlasts the rest. That's how real dominance is created, and from this place you become untouchable. Part 2. Listen more than you speak. Wise people don't talk first. They listen. When you listen more than you speak, you gain insight. You hear what's really going on. You discover what others want, fear, or value. Most people speak to show they're powerful. Smart people speak less and learn more. They let others reveal their hand. Every conversation is an opportunity to gather information. If you interrupt, talk too fast, or dominate a discussion, you miss real intel. You miss the emotional cues. You miss where people are soft or where they're fearful. Those nuances give you power to respond intentionally instead of react emotionally. Listening builds trust. When someone speaks and you lean in, they feel seen. They feel important. They lower their guard. In those moments, you gain connection, and from that connection, you gain influence. You don't need to force respect. You earn it through presence and attention. Even when silence feels awkward, it can push the conversation forward. The other person fills the gap. They talk more, they reveal more. As you listen, you collect patterns, motives, values, and weaknesses. You learn what drives them. That knowledge puts you 2 steps ahead before you ever speak. Most people listen to respond. They wait for their turn to speak. They're already thinking about what they want to say next. But when you listen with focus, you listen to understand. You listen to sense what's real, what matters, what moves them, and then you respond with clarity and precision. That's how you set the tone of a conversation. You don't react to someone else's emotion. You bring calm. You bring clarity, you lead without dominating, you shape the direction quietly, intentionally. Listening also sharpens your strategy. When others speak freely, you pick up signals about timing, agendas, intentions. That helps you anticipate what comes next. You don't get surprised, you don't react, you act because you're not operating blind. You've seen what others hide. When you listen more than you speak, your decisions improve. You don't follow noise, you follow truth, you take calculated steps. That focus gives you control, it gives them respect, and it builds influence. Some conversations feel superficial, small talk, filler words. But if you stay alert and listen even there, you'll learn what people avoid or what they pretend not to notice. That's where real leverage lives. In small details, in unspoken priority. Listening also changes how others see you. You appear confident. You appear thoughtful. You appear secure in your presence. And that makes others more willing to share with you, to ask your advice, to respect your opinion. Smart domination isn't about speaking the loudest. It's about speaking the most precisely. When you speak, your words carry weight because you've already listened. You speak to influence, not impress. You speak to solve, not to signal. That's how you win respect and attention. This habit shapes your presence. It anchors your confidence. You walk into rooms quieter, steadier. But inside, your mind is active. You're aware. You're analyzing. You're prepared. Others may try to overwhelm you with words or emotion, but you don't shrink. You stay centered. You let their noise fall flat as you maintain control through clarity. If you want to outsmart anyone, first learn to listen. Listen to their words, their tone, their hesitation. Listen to what's said and what's left unsaid. And then when you speak, speak with purpose. Speak with insight. Make what you say matter. Through listening, you become someone people choose to talk to, not someone who's trying to talk at them. That builds influence without pressure. It builds dominance without force. That's the power of listening more than you speak. And it's a mindset anyone can train. Every time you choose silence first, you collect intelligence. Every time you listen deeply, you reclaim control. And every time you respond with intention, you lead. That's how dominance isn't demanded, it's earned. Part 3, study people, not just books. If you want to stay ahead, you must learn from the real world, not just from pages in a book. Books teach theory. Observing people reveals patterns, strategies, emotions, and decisions. When you watch how people respond in real situations, how they move, pause, hesitate, assert, you gain wisdom no book can teach. You learn what's silent but powerful. When you study people, you see motives behind actions. You notice what pushes them forward and what pulls them down. You notice how they handle pressure and how they recover. You learn social tone, hidden agendas, body language, emotional rhythms. These clues give you clarity in situations. They teach you how to stay 3 steps ahead in personal or professional dynamics. Every interaction is a learning opportunity. Whether you're at the market, a business meeting, with friends, or scrolling comments online, watch, notice who controls silence, who commands respect, who deflates others. That awareness is priceless. It becomes part of your mental toolkit wherever you show up. People are complex. They don't always act logically. Sometimes they get emotional. Sometimes they carry fear or insecurity. And those vulnerabilities are easier to spot when you study how people behave rather than what they say. People's words often mask what they feel. Observation fills the gap. You gather real insight instead of relying on surface impressions. That insight becomes your power. When you face conflict, you don't react clumsily. You read the emotional signals. You sense the pressure points. You know when someone is trying to push your buttons or when they're insecure and looking for control. And that instinct helps you stay calm, responsive, strategic. Most people read about negotiation or persuasion without practicing people skills. You can read 100 books, but if you don't observe people, those ideas stay theoretical. Dominance demands real-world skill. Make it a daily habit to watch interactions carefully without judgment. Learn, reflect. Ask yourself, what was said? How was it said? What changed afterward? If someone's posture shifts, if their tone softens or tightens, if they pause or repeat, those signals tell you what matters to them, and every clue builds an advantage. You learn what drives them, what holds them to the moment, what would break the pattern. That's deep knowledge. This focus also sharpens your empathy. When you study what people experience, you understand better what they fear, what they value, and how they make decisions. With empathy, you gain subtle influence, not manipulation, clear insight that guides how you walk, what you say, and how you impact a conversation. Real dominance doesn't come from pressure. It comes from understanding. When people feel understood, they respect, they lean in, they open up. That gives you influence you don't need to force. That gives you respect that isn't demanded. That gives you depth that isn't built by noise. Observing people doesn't cost you anything. It costs your attention. Train yourself to notice what changes someone's countenance, what shifts their tone, what darker moment they avoid, what lighter moment unlocks. All of that data becomes part of your strategy. Watch how respected people act. Notice how they balance firmness with warmth. Notice how they handle criticism or disagreement. Notice their timing. Notice how they escalate issues and when they step back. Study what you admire. Then test it, practice it, refine it. Every time you observe deliberately, you improve. Every time you pause to consider what you see, you build your mental library of strategy. Every time you respond with insight instead of instinct, you demonstrate control. That's how influence becomes natural. That's how dominance becomes subtle and undeniable. No book can teach emotional intelligence faster than life experience. And every hour you spend observing the world around you adds to your skill. Make it personal, make it practical, make it consistent. Over time, you'll find you understand people and situations more deeply than most because you paid attention. That's how you outsmart anyone. Not by memorizing tactics, but by reading the room. Not by quoting theory, but by sensing opportunity. Not by forcing dominance, but by moving where others cannot follow. Because you understand before they act, you see before they shift, you plan before they speak. That's the payoff of studying people, not just books. Part 4, always think 2 steps ahead. Keeping 1 step ahead is not guesswork or luck. It's consistent preparation, forward thinking, and seeing ahead before the moment arrives. When you think 2 steps ahead, you control the pace of interactions. Others scramble, you lead, you respond, you decide. That's how dominance happens, not when you react, but when you anticipate. Every moment holds clues about where things could go. Pay attention, notice the tone of the conversation. See how energy shifts when someone asks a question. Watch the pauses, the hesitations, the pressure points. Even small signals tell you what to prepare for. If you sense a challenge coming, you adjust now. You don't wait, you align before the moment demands it. When someone presents an idea, don't just respond immediately. Ask yourself what they hope happens next. Ask if they push harder. Where will this lead? If they back off, what's the opportunity? These questions shape your next move. They help you plan, not panic. You become proactive instead of reactive. And in that space, others follow your lead, not the other way around. Thinking ahead also involves prepping for the next part. If you step into a meeting, know what might be asked. Prepare answers, prepare responses, prepare questions. When the moment comes, you're ready, you're calm, you're influential. Others are caught off guard while you steer the direction. It's more than planning, it's mental clarity. Every conversation, every move, every action becomes part of a bigger strategy. You ask not only what you do now, but what comes next. How would a pushback happen? What would weaken your position? How could someone surprise you? You prepare, you minimize risk, you hold power. This habit changes your confidence. You stop being thrown off by sudden changes. Challenges don't break your rhythm. You stay centered, you stay aware, you see farther, you act smarter, and over time the habit becomes natural because you built it. People around you notice, they sense your readiness, they feel your presence, they know you're not just reacting. You move the conversation, you lead the direction. They follow without noticing. That's dominance by preparation. Thinking ahead is not about predicting the future perfectly. It's about preparing your mind for possibilities. It's about training your brain to see the path, not just the next step. Every time you anticipate, you reduce your risk. Every time you prepare, you increase your control. So, practice mental rehearsal before interactions. Visualize what might happen. Visualize responses. Visualize outcomes. Visualizing isn't daydreaming. It's preparation for calm responses. You see the fort before it arrives, and so when you get there, you already know which way you're going. When discussions shift, when things get tense or emotional, most people freeze or scramble. You don't. You respond with stability, you stay focused on your plan, you adapt without losing clarity. That's the difference between people who react and people who dominate. If you want total dominance, train yourself not just to act now, but to anticipate what happens next. Build the habit of looking forward. Ask better questions. Prepare responses. Imagine outcomes. Adjust strategy early, not late. That's how you say you outsmart someone. Not in words, but in readiness. Not through force, but by foresight. People often mistake strategy for complexity. It isn't. It's simple thinking 2 moves ahead, and when you practice it daily, in small decisions, in conversations, in negotiations, it becomes your standard. Others play catch up, you direct the game. Remember, dominance is not loud, it's strategic. It's calm, it's prepared. It's thinking ahead so you aren't surprised, and when you're never surprised, you're always ready. Part 5, stay calm, stay strategic, stay unpredictable. When people look to control others, they try to predict what comes next. They try to count on patterns. But the person who stays unpredictable stays powerful. You don't serve surprises for shock value or manipulation. You embrace unpredictability as a strategic advantage. When you combine calm clarity and thoughtful unpredictability, you shape how others react. You become someone they can't anticipate, and that gives you control. Staying calm starts with emotional control. You don't overreact when provoked. You don't match chaos or anger with more chaos or anger. You speak calmly. You breathe through pressure. You steady your tone. When you stay steady, you deflate emotional attacks. People around you feel grounded instead of spiraling. That presence becomes your strength. It disarms loudness and dismisses drama. Strategic calm doesn't look weak. Far from it. It communicates confidence. It signals that you're thinking ahead. It means you won't be rushed by noise. You filter what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Even when tension builds, you remain in command. You evaluate instead of reacting. You decide, not deny. That's a different level of control, one that others respect deep down. Unpredictability comes next. Once people expect your move, your influence weakens. To maintain advantage, you change rhythms. You surprise with timing, not gestures. You vary your responses. You shift approach when necessary, not erratically, but deliberately. You might pause when others expect speed. You might offer silence when they're waiting for talk. That shift throws off momentum. They begin to think twice before assuming your patterns. You do this not to confuse, but to surprise, to stay ahead, to remind yourself and others that your decisions are intentional, not habitual. That builds respect. That builds unpredictability as strength, not suspense. Calm plus strategy plus unpredictability creates presence. People sense it, then they pause, they question, they adapt, and in that gap you lead. Imagine a negotiation. You meet tension with calm. You maintain steady gaze and tone. You keep your intentions quiet. Others may try to push you with pressure, but because you don't flinch, they lose momentum. Because you maintain clarity, they feel uncertain. Because you vary your response, they don't know what move you'll make. And as you hold your ground, you gain control. Even on digital platforms, forums, meetings, messages, this mindset translates. You reply with purpose, not noise. You shape timing. You set tone. People respect clarity over reaction. They respect consistency over volatility. And you become someone whose presence matters, no matter the format. There's a sensory element too, calm body language, even rhythm of speech, controlled breathing. These aren't just tactics, they affect how people perceive you. You appear centered, sure, balanced. You sound thoughtful, intentional. That effect gathers authority behind your words. Training this mindset starts with small actions. In conversation, when someone tries to provoke you, pause, wait, then respond calmly. Notice your tone, adjust. Next time, vary your response intentionally. Don't be predictable. Soon your reactions become your decision, not your default. In tough moments, delays, criticism, unfair pressure, your ability to stay calm and strategic shifts dynamics. Others may raise voices, push hard, but you remain unshaken. You hold presence. You ask better questions. You steer the exchange. That's how unpredictability turns into dominance, not through force, but through posture. This mindset also keeps people guessing. They may think they know you, but each deliberate variation reminds them they don't. You stay 3 steps ahead, not by hiding, but by staying dynamic, calm, composed, decisive, but not rehearsed. Of course, this takes discipline. It takes reflection. After each event, conversation, conflict, meeting, you reflect on how steady you stayed, how you shifted, how predictable you seemed. What surprised others? What felt mechanical? Then refine your approach. That reflection keeps you unpredictable by choice, not by accident. The combination of calm presence, forward strategy, and varied responses makes you a person who leads without aggression, without needing to dominate by volume or force. Instead, you lead by steady mind, clear purpose, and thoughtful adaptation. If anyone tries to read your patterns, they find few. If they expect one response, you shift. If they push your limits, you remain grounded. If they escalate, you hold. That doesn't mean you provoke or play games. It means you manage the game. At the end, total dominance isn't about being seen. It's about being felt through consistency and calm, clarity and purpose, and unpredictability in execution. These traits become your shield and your edge. Train your presence, train your voice, train your choices so they remain strategic, not scripted. Stay calm when others are loud. Stay focused when others lose direction. Stay unpredictable when they try to predict your moves. This is how you outsmart anyone. Not through intimidation or manipulation, but through composed confidence, thoughtful strategy, and intentional adaptation. And remember, dominance isn't permission given, it's authority earned through calm presence, strategic foresight, and unpredictable clarity. In life, you're going to meet people who underestimate you, people who try to manipulate you, outshine you, talk over you, test your patience, or challenge your decisions. That's guaranteed. But what isn't guaranteed is how you handle it. What separates you from the crowd is how you carry yourself when it matters most. You don't need to raise your voice to prove your value. You don't need to chase approval. You don't need to win every argument. You win when you stay calm. You win when you play the long game. You win when your moves are calculated, your energy is protected, and your reactions are deliberate. That's what makes you unshakable. That's what makes you a person others can't figure out or manipulate. The truth is, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You just need to be the one who knows how to think clearly, move wisely, and never give your power away. Train yourself daily to stay calm under pressure. Learn to observe before reacting. Think 2 steps ahead. Guard your energy, protect your peace, and stay unpredictable enough that no one can box you in. That's how you rise. That's how you outsmart anyone. And that's how you build a life that no one can control but you.